I'm Christian Abbott.
I'm Nathan Lavender.
I'm Sean Abbott.
And this is the Red Mist Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Red Mist Podcast, episode 33, the Harry Gant Skull Bandit episode. On tonight's episode, we'll discuss NASCAR news, Indycar updates, Formula One coming and goings a little bit, some Indycar, IMSA sports car news, and then we'll kind of end the evening with a kind of roundtable about some breaking FIA news that happened today. So with that, throw the first topic out to Nate. Nate, I saw this article or news blurb the other day, and I kind of got I want to say, a little confused by what's going on with the career of Hailie Deegan, the daughter of Brian Deegan,
right?
Supercross, WRX guy, and she's been trying to make her way through up the ranks in NASCAR. It's got some good backing from Monster Energy and Ford.
Yes.
Yep. So, she's been kind of bouncing around, and the news broke earlier this week that she's once again on the move with teams. This time landing with Thor Motorsports in the truck series.
ThorSport.
It's ThorSport.
ThorSport.
And this is Is this a Sears Craftsman truck series again?
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy.
Craftsman
it's like
truck series. Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, right. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, back to original names.
And Nate, before we kind of started recording tonight, you and I were talking about this, and I really want to see Hailie kind of move up. I think she has a lot of talent and stuff, but she keeps getting sidetracked. So what do you think of this? Besides the fact that ThorSport's a great team.
Well, if you're going to run in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, ThorSport is one of the teams that you would be really circling on the list of teams that you want to be on. Okay, they produce champions left and right. I mean, Matt Crafton, right? And Johnny Sauter's been on the team before. Okay. He's had a lot of really good runs. But Hailie Deegan, before this even happened, she's kind of I would say Ford's
rising star
up and comer, right? Yep. Yeah. So it's kind of like, a Chase Briscoe situation. Yep. He was up, he was with Ford all this long time with the trucks through Xfinity and now in Cup. So it's kind of like the similar route that Chase Briscoe's going. And this isn't ThorSport's first time with Ford. It's like they had 3 years with Toyota, 3 years with Ford, and now just ending 3 years with Toyota and going back to Ford. Okay. So it's kind of funny how that cycle's happening, but this works for both parties, I think.
Okay. No. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Nate. Sorry.
So with Hailie Deegan, this is a better ride for her, better for Ford. Ford gets, I think it's 2 more full-time trucks as well. Oh, because okay. I mean, between the Xfinity series and the Truck Series, Ford has been kind of limited on their entries. It's more so been Chevy and Toyota vehicles on more so on the entry list.
So ThorSport's still going to be a 3-truck team.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to reconfirm on the other drivers that are with them, such as Matt Crafton, which may be a really good teammate to have too, because he's been in the in the Truck Series for forever.
Okay.
And look, you're on the top team, and now at this point, like it's Hailie Deegan has the ball in her court. Okay, it's up to her to make these races happen. She needs to be consistent. I would even say wins are expected in this team. She has a full season under her belt. She knows the tracks coming up. Nothing really too crazy of a change from last year to, this up and coming year in 2023. It's, I really see Haley Deegan making some really good results. She has to be more consistent than last season. She was with David Gilliland Racing, which, I mean, they've gotten a few wins. One win I could think of right away was when Todd Gilliland was showed up for a one-off race at it wasn't Eldora. I think it was one of the dirt races. Anyway, they won there in the 17 car or truck, I guess, if we're keeping on the topic. So I think Haley Deegan can do it, produce some good results. In her words, it's, the perfect ideal situation to move over to Thor, because now she's on the top ride, and Ford is getting 2 more entries out of it. So Ford is rising their entries per race now, and more so needs to happen on the Xfinity side. And I really see, I mean, I don't know which Ford team is going to maybe bring her up through the ropes. I mean, once maybe Cole Custer gets out of the 00 car, maybe it's Haley Deegan's turn with Stewart Haas. I mean, they're close with Monster as well. So I could see maybe that's the route that she's going to go after, I'm guessing 2 or 3 seasons with the Truck Series, right? If she's going to be with ThorSport, or at least somehow make the, championship hunt, right? The Final 4 or whatever. But she has to win a race this season. She has to win a race, and I think she's backed into that corner and realizes that she needs to win a race in order to really keep her job in the Truck Series. And I think she's very capable of doing that. At least, if not consistent top 5, she has to at least make it happen.
If I read this right, and I just kind of scan back to kind of see who her teammates would be, you're right, Matt Crafton. 23 seasons in truck.
Forever, right?
That's pretty good.
He's been in it for at least 2 decades.
Hey, at least he's got a full-time gig,
Yeah.
I forgot, Ty Majeski.
Ty Majeski, that's right. Yes. And then Ben Rhodes?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're going to be a 4-truck team?
Yes.
Wow. Good for them.
ThorSport is a powerhouse.
So that's good for her. So hopefully they can gel with the Ford stuff and get going. But I every year it would just seem like she just would bounce around, So good. Hopefully this will lead to some stability, at least for the next year or 2, if she's doing truck. So hopefully that'll work out.
And this opens up a real opportunity for her. I mean, she can maybe find her groove on what tracks she really likes. Mm-hmm. Super speedway, short tracks, dirt tracks, road courses, even, right? Because there's a few of those. I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens at Daytona, right, when it comes around.
Yep. No, that's true. All right. And then I think the only other big piece of news this week was that Jimmy Johnson had a seat fitting with
Garage 56.
No, with Petty.
Yeah, right. What for the Daytona 500.
It's GMS Petty. So he's
Petty's GMS. Yes.
So he's looking to be back. And then as Nate pointed out there, he also tested the Garage 56 entry that's going to be going to Le Mans this year. They were at Carolina Motorsports Park in South Carolina, and they tested the car in a mixed bag of conditions, which was pretty good. And Jimmy kind of did all the testing, so that was good. And he kind of, I guess, gave back some really good feedback. He had posted a video on Twitter about his the Garage 56 guys had posted a video on Twitter with Jimmy talking about the car and his experience. So that was pretty good.
Well, and I think Jimmy Johnson. Look, at this point, he's officially announced, right? At this point, worst kept secret, as one of the drivers to really run the Garage 56 car. And look, they tested at Sebring. That's a really bouncy track. I mean, because when you go to Le Mans, right? Aren't you worried about, it's smooth, but isn't the rumple strips really the roughest bit of surface?
More,
I guess turtle shells at the Ford chicane.
The reason to go to Sebring is to go and see what breaks. That's what they do. But I would say he's interested, but I'm not 100% certain that he'd be. I would probably say he's probably lined up to be one of the drivers. So, anyways, so that's about it for our NASCAR side of the fence. So that was good. Good conversation there about Hailie Deegan. So hopefully that'll kick off to a good start this season. IndyCar. IndyCar announced a partnership with Molly for their hybrid system. So it kind of restarts it's kind of this is like one of the things they need for the base to start towards the new motor. Is that safe to say, Christian?
Yeah, I mean, just for some context, Molly is a German automotive parts manufacturer. So and it's not Molly MOLLY. It's
Right.
Molly MAHLE.
Yep.
So I mean they do a lot of there's a lot of parts that they design and have made that you can find in your own car. But the stuff that they're going to do with IndyCar, it looks like it'll be a good fit for the gap that I think that they're running into. So it seems like they're going to work with a lot of the packaging and whatnot to get it all fit in where it needs to go.
Yep, that's a good start. Hopefully, get restarted on that. I don't think we had any IndyCar driver signings in the last week.
No, but Robbie Schwartzman.
Oh, yes.
Did a test with Chip Ganassi Racing.
Or he's going to be doing a test.
Yes, going to be.
Going to be. And again, this is a topic that we've been kind of hot on.
Yeah.
About Formula 2, folks in Formula 2, Formula 3 that, are kind of getting shut out on opportunities to come, explore opportunities over here in IndyCar. Now,
shut out in F1.
And F1, sorry.
Yeah.
And because there's only, there's only so many teams. Why would we want to add more teams?
Yeah,
why would we want to add more teams?
Yeah, the grid's perfectly fine at 20
right.
teams.
Thank you,
20 cars.
Thank you, Toto.
Yeah.
Thank you, Toto.
Yeah,
His
you.
words.
Yeah, just limit. Yeah, limit it.
Actually,
yeah.
I think a grid with no team other than
Mercedes.
Yeah. I think
His
that's
words.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well,
kind of cool that Schwartzman's going to come over and do the test. So he's in the Ferrari Driver Academy. Mm-hmm. I don't know where that's going to go because I think Ferrari's kind of set with the two drivers they have there.
Yes, and at this point,
at least for 2 years,
who's their academy?
It's basically Schwartzman's basically
because it's.
I think they slot Mark Janae in whenever they want to get some experience. Mark comes in at age 48, jumps in the car.
Because their next rising talent isn't it Charles's brother Arthur?
Is he in that program?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. Yeah,
he was in F3, but I know he's a while.
But anyway, yeah. So good for Schwartzman. Mm. He does well. He didn't bin a Ferrari.
No.
In the sessions that he did.
Practices.
Yeah. And I think he held his own in Formula 2. But there's only he doesn't have endless funds, so he's not coming with that. But he probably has the backing enough to get into IndyCar. So I don't know. Sitting around being a reserve driver versus, which a lot of cases they have to bring money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Alex Burr's doing both.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Anyways,
so I still don't get that. I'm sorry.
No, I don't even want to talk about it tonight. And then, but for Schwartzman to get a test with Ganassi, even if it's just for the road courses, they can find a capable oval track guy specialist. So, and who knows, Jimmy could come back and slot in and do those races. So, so that's good for him.
Yeah.
So, hopefully that continues a trend that we like to see is some of these, folks with, up and comers getting experience to come over and actually get in and race a car over here and bring their talents over here. Mm-hmm. Totally different setup on the cars, but so be it. Next up, let's talk IMSA and sports cars. Good to see that Magnus will be back.
Yes,
with the John Potter led squad.
yeah, and their newly revamped driver lineup that has not changed from last year.
From several years.
Yeah.
So John's going to be joined by Andy Lally for the. I think they're just doing that. They hinted that they may do more races. It was very cryptic.
Yeah.
Typical Magnus press release.
Yeah.
So they're going to do the 4 Michelin Endurance Cup races, and that they'll be joined by it'll be Andy Lally and Spencer Pompelli, and for Daytona they will be joined by a 4th driver who I assume is going to be an Aston Martin Works driver.
Yeah.
Don't know who, but safe to say that that'll be the case. So great to see them back. At least
you know
for
Paul Dalana.
No, it's not going to be Paul Delano. Although Paul's pretty good, he's just not a factory driver. He brings the money so the factory drivers can drive with him.
Yeah, a gentleman of sorts.
A gentleman of sorts. Well,
they could who was on the Aston squad?
Nicky Team.
Yes.
Or the Dane train.
His.
But I think aren't those guys moving teams though?
I thought so.
I think they're moving manufacturers too.
No, so. He has extreme loyalty to Aston Martin.
Well,
I mean, he was even asked about
so much
like a hypercar program.
There's so much going on in Europe right now. I don't even know what's going on. So it's hard to keep track of everything. Yeah. So on top of that, so that was good news, and that sort of accompanied the release of the entry list for the Daytona 20, the Roar and the Daytona 24. So as was discussed here and in various other places, there was over 70 something entries submitted. 60 were chosen. The cut really came down to folks that have been loyal to IMSA and probably some factory shenanigans.
It was a lot of. Well, the first priority was who has been running in IMSA the past couple of years, who
Michelin
are the top
Endurance
factories
Cup.
that are committed to IMSA for the full year, and we're not doing just.
Right.
If you were basically having this race as a one-off, you were very low on the list.
If you had run the Michelin Endurance Cup like Magnus has over the last several years, you were definitely in on the list. So because you're going to be doing it again this year. Yeah. So no surprises there. It's kind of good to see the Magnusons will be in running. So that was good. The guys at Era Motorsports, that's on the Ryan DL, Dwight Merriman team, they're going to be coming to the 24, and they're bringing Ollie Jarvis with them. So that's kind of good. Who's going to be driving with United Autosports this year. And the 4th driver, this is awesome, is Christian Rasmussen. Yes. Which I think is great.
Yeah.
So good for him. And then Lexus named Parker Thompson to fill in with Frankie and Trent. No, is he Frankie and Trent? Yeah, Frankie and Trent Hindman. So Parker Thompson's going to be driving that car. And I think they're going to have a 4th guy. They hadn't named it yet, but there'll be a 4th driver there. And then the Porsche Hypercar lineup came out.
Yes.
So, or LMDH lineup. Sorry. GTP. Sorry.
Well,
GTP
is hypercar.
It falls all over the place. It really does.
Before we get there, though, I do want to mention though that 60 car entry breakdown. There's 9 in GT. There's 5 classes that are going to be in IMSA. So there's 9 entries in GTP. So your top class prototypes. There's going to be 10 entries in the LMP2 category, which is your second tier prototype class. Then in your third tier prototype class, LMP3, there's going to be 9. Again, the main difference between these 3 as you step up is more power, more downforce, more tools and buttons you can play with, and then also what driver rankings qualify for those rides. So in LMP2 and LMP3, they're pro-am classes. So and LMP3 is more of an am. Like you have to be under a certain driver rating to be in that. And then GTP is pro all around. And then so that's the prototype side. There's 28 prototypes in total. On the GT side, there's going to be 2 classes there: GTD Pro and then GTD. And the only difference between the 2 classes is GTD Pro you can run 2 pro drivers, and in GTD AM you along with a pro driver, you have to run a AM driver. And obviously for the longer endurance races, you can have more than just 2 drivers. You can have 3 or 4 drivers depending on how you want to set it up. But you at least have to run two guys for the full season. But in GTD Pro, there's going to be 8 cars. And then in GTD, there's going to be a big field of 24 cars. So, and that's with a ton of manufacturers between Lamborghini, Ferrari, Porsche, BMW, Mercedes. Is there going to be Audi in that one as well?
They are, but I don't know if anyone's running an Audi.
Yeah.
I don't think they are. Anyone is.
Lexus. Is Acura running the NSX in there?
They are.
Yep. Okay.
And Corvette.
And Corvette, yes. So those are your big, all of your manufacturers that you have in there.
Yep.
So yeah, back to Porsche and their lineup.
So going to be running 2 cars here in the States, IMSA, and 2 cars in the WEC series. I don't know if it's big news, but Nick Tandy's back within Porsche, so which is fine.
Having previously driven for
Porsche
Corvette.
And prior to that Porsche.
Yeah. But he drove for Corvette last year.
2 years. For
the past
2
2
years,
years,
yeah.
yes.
So he's coming back to running the GTP car here. So it's going to be Nick and Matthew Jaminet.
Yep.
And then in one car, and then the other car will have Matty Campbell with Philippe Nasr.
Yes.
What was surprising to me, and he is going to be joining the Tandy Jaminet car, was that Dane Cameron's not going to be running an IMSA. He's going to be
not full season.
He's only doing like 2 races here.
Yeah, he's just doing the longer ones.
He's just doing it's probably Petit, Sebring, and Daytona.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's going to be here for Watkins or not.
Probably. Porsche does some weird they do not. They're not a big 4-driver lineup team.
No, I don't.
So they're gonna. So Cameron's gonna be in the car with Tandy and Jaminet. With Nasr and Matty Campbell, it's gonna be Michael Christensen.
Yeah.
Now, when we go over to WEC, you go to 3-car drivers. You have to have 3 drivers.
Yeah.
So in one car,
plus every race is a minimum of 6 hours.
So it's safe to assume. My assumption is that the number 1, number 2 drivers in this project are going to be Dane Cameron and Michael Christensen because they're going to be doing both.
Right.
That's just my how I take this. So Cameron and Christensen, along with Fred Makovicky, they'll be in one car, and then this is the other car. This is a killer lineup.
Yeah,
this has got Kevin Estre, Andre Lauderer, and Lawrence Van Tor.
Yeah.
Woof.
Don't get me wrong. All of these drivers.
But that lineup, that lineup is scary.
What I can't wait for is when they finally get all the customer cars filled out,
right?
And we have this giant field of GTP at Le Mans.
Yeah,
that is going to be awesome.
Yeah, which is still a couple years away.
Yeah, a couple years away. Yeah.
So,
but
so that leaves looks like 4 drivers. That'll be 4 of what they call them Porsche factory drivers. Now, there's a couple guys that are going to be running here in the States that are going to be running IMSA full time, but there's 4 drivers right now that are kind of no one knows where they're going. That's Bruni. I just don't see him as a prototype driver. He's always been a GT guy.
Yeah.
Romain Dumas, who has extensive prototype experience, but I think Romain is getting he's getting on the older side. Yeah. But he does a lot of stuff with the Porsche Museum, things like that. Richard Leitz, is so, and then Thomas Prenning. Now he's an up and comer, but I'm assuming that these guys are going to probably be in WEC GT cars.
Yeah,
that's just where I see those guys ending up. So there's that. So out of the other, there are some other drivers that just sort of fell off now the list from 2022 to 2023. Neil Johnny. Now that was kind of self-inflicted because a year ago he had a big blowout with the Ferrari guys at the final race, WEC race. He kind of got shuffled aside this year into certain rides, but I think it was like, okay, we're going to put you over here. You're going to finish out your contract, but you're not coming back. Too bad. The guy's a good driver and all that. He's driven a lot of prototype. Julian Andelau, he's bounced around Europe doing a lot of Porsche stuff. The one that's like, I don't like. She's been named like Simona is Di Silvestro. They name her as a Porsche driver, but I didn't see her in one Porsche last year.
Where was she rumored to be?
Like she's on the Porsche. So. She's like on the Porsche factory driver list for 2022, but she's not on the list this year.
What?
Yeah,
but I thought she was like doing stuff with Porsche's Formula E team.
Oh.
So I don't know what's really going on there. That's what I don't understand what's going on with Simona.
You mean the real racing?
Well, they didn't put her into anything.
Yeah.
The only real ride she had was with Beth Peretta and Peretta Autosport.
Right. But isn't she doing more of that this year?
I assume so, but I mean, it's just like, you know.
Well, I mean, she was kind of all over the place last year.
I agree, but it's like I don't recall her jumping in a Porsche. That was the thing. So I mean, like if she was a brand ambassador, that's fine. Not a problem there. I mean, if she was doing stuff with Formula E and that, but it's just kind of weird. Anyway, I mean, it's very capable. So I don't really understand that. So that kind of I think kind of closes out the sports car news.
No.
Oh, Christian's got something.
Number one.
Unless
HPD decided to put up the reigning championship-winning car from Wayne Taylor Racing, the DPI, up for sale.
Yeah.
Current bid on the car.
What's this on? Bring a Trailer?
Yeah.
Is it? No, is it?
Yeah.
It's seriously on Bring a Trailer?
It is.
This is hilarious. Yeah. All right.
The current bid, if you want to buy it, is at $388,000.
It doesn't come with. That's no engine, I guarantee you.
Yeah, it's a shell.
I can.
It's gonna. That's gonna be. It's a roller.
I know. It should. I was thinking a little bit.
Although Christian did find the sound of the Honda or the Acura DPI motor, LMDH.
Oh
motor.
yeah. Nate, have you heard the Acura?
Have you heard it?
Like, listen to it.
Yeah. Just this. It sounds very familiar.
Like a Porsche?
No.
Or what?
Like a certain Japanese Formula One motor.
Formula One motor. It sounds just like the Red Bull Honda.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Ah.
Yeah.
Do we have it?
I'm reading through Bring a Trailer, and it looks like the full car.
Oh, all right.
So it's got everything in there.
Yep. There hasn't been, so that's pretty cool.
There's a lot of, this is the 7th chassis.
Yeah.
Which is what it's currently on, which I'm sure probably because they wrecked a couple other ones. But
and don't forget a couple of chassis were at Shank.
Correct, yeah.
So. Shank and Penske.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Before
so
that, yeah.
So there it wouldn't surprise me if there were 7 bouncing around. That many bouncing around.
But aside from that point, L.A. Honda World have announced two Honda Civic Type R entries for TCR
for the Michelin Pilot Challenge.
One team will be driven by Mike Lamara and Will Talley, and the other car is going to be driven by Matt Pombo and Ryan Eversley.
And those two had some success at the end of the season last year, and Matt Pombo is not a slouch.
No.
He used to.
Do I have to say it? Neither is Ryan Eversley.
No, right. But Matt, used to run with his brother quite a bit, and they are the sons of Pepe Pombo, back from the old IMSA days. Pepe used to drive some outrageous 935s, so so that'll be fun. Good for those guys. Congratulations to Mr. Eversley for being back again. Yeah, be fun to see him at the track.
And speaking of Mr. Eversley,
last Wednesday we had a massive pod drop of Dinner Wood Racers, featuring Chris Willis, who's famous. He's a racing engineer. He's been around the block a lot of places. Most famous for running the Nissan GTP car, developing it from the halcyon days of the IMSA GTP series, and the electromotive Nissan GTP cars were probably two of the most dominant cars for a period up until, I'd say, we had the Walkinshaw Jags, and then we had the Dan Gurney All-American Eagle Toyotas. So, so that Chris Willis was on. Mario Dominguez had not heard or seen Mario in years, and it was good. His episode was crazy. It was a good episode. Then we had Bobby Rahal.
Yes, we did.
And who am I missing?
Kevin Lee.
Oh yeah, Kevin Lee, who's the NBC IndyCar and IMSA sports car broadcaster. That's right. Yes. He was in Kevin. That's right, because he was. Forgot about that. And then there's going to be one with Brad Sweet, and Brad is involved in sprint car racing as a promoter. He's part of the new. I don't want. There's going to be another series that Kyle Larson's getting involved with, in terms of sprint cars and stuff. So I think Brad's part of that movement, but he's a promoter within dirt racing, especially the World Outlaws wing sprint cars. So that one hasn't dropped yet, but waiting for it to drop. So it should be interesting. Speaking of dirt racing news, the Chili Bowl is coming up.
Yes, it is.
And breaking news from the Chili Bowl this year that came out today was that the officials and technical officials of the Chili Bowl will be watching for traction control. So these guys,
that's a thing?
Yeah. So I find this awesome, because this tells you where sprint car guys are going. This is crazy. I love it. Midgets. They're putting traction control on midgets. That's awesome.
Imagine that.
That is crazy, but I love it.
Well,
and that's a fun event. That's a week. I'd love to go to that for a week.
That'd
be a blast.
Especially the number of drivers that show up at that high quality.
Well, it's like
quality of drivers.
Like what? If you like, is it even surpassing 100?
It's over
there's
that.
A lot of
yeah,
entries.
Nate, it's over that. Christian's looking for something. I don't know what.
Yeah,
I don't know. I found that little tidbit today. I was kind of laughing when I saw that. I was like, "Oh, that's great." Sprint car.
He's looking up how to enter into Chili Bowl.
No, I have the list of entries, and
they already have it out.
I can't find.
I can't
find the.
I know
Kyle Larson.
I know Rico's going to be there.
Oh, Rico Abreu is obviously there. He has to be there. He is so fast with those cars.
Yeah, he's really talented.
He's an animal.
He's very talented.
An absolute animal with those cars.
Larson has to be in there. Chase Briscoe's probably in there.
Christopher Bell.
Yeah, those guys are. Yeah.
They have Ricky Stenhouse. Those guys have to be in there.
Yep.
Because they're so good at
Josh
what they do.
in there.
Oh, Josh Balicki, yeah.
I'm
Cheesehead himself.
No, we can we can talk. I think, when is that? Like 3? It's right after the first of the year.
It's January 9th to the 14th.
9th to the 14th. Yeah. So
it's in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And this is just it is an event.
Oh,
I think it's on. It's either Flow Racing or Mad TV has the streaming service for it. It's one of the few events I'll sign up for a month and get it so I can watch the races. It's a blast, though. It's a lot of fun. Anyways, all right. So
I could tell you, Christopher Bell is definitely going to be there. That's his home state, Oklahoma.
Right.
So, and apart from being the obvious Chili Bowl event itself.
Yep. All right. So let's trundle on to Formula One and the FIA.
Well, before we get there, do we?
Come on, Sean. We're saving the best for last.
Did we talk about Mick signing with Mercedes?
No, but we can lead that off.
Okay.
Well,
In Formula One news, hold on.
Yeah.
that Mick Schumacher guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the little
He's famous, right?
little deja vu. There's a Schumacher back at Mercedes.
Yeah. I'm, which is fine. My only concern with Mick is he needs seat time.
Yeah.
He needs more. He needs to be driving. This is my whole problem with some of these guys. Like, I don't know. Danny Rick is probably some end game. I don't know. Mick,
But
Mick is like, what?
Here's my thing.
What is he? Good. Nate,
like,
sorry.
look. No, it's all good. Because I was scrolling through social media and everything, trying to what do I think of this? Parker Kligerman had the best question on this. He's like, well, what other drivers out there have made something from going out of a reserve driver role? And I really can't think of anybody. I really can't. Maybe Sebastian Vettel with BMW.
No,
but that's because someone got injured.
Well, the only one right now would be Nick DeVries. But Nick's been bouncing around so much, I was starting to worry about his career. And then, fortunately / unfortunately, he, because he was in the paddock and was a reserve driver for certain teams, and guys came down with illnesses, Albon came down with appendicitis, he was able to get his talents out there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But honestly, it was painful just having to watch, Nick be, kind of co-hosting the wrap-up show on F1 TV. It's not where he should be. Everyone agrees he's a talent. But the contracts that some of these guys sign kind of prohibits them from going anywhere else in racing.
Right. Well, and that's like a lot of drivers who, even was Russell bounced for a year, or did he get right into Williams? Regardless, it was like that year, those couple years of GP2 and F2 winners didn't get a chance to go right into F1, so they had to sit some time out.
And then if you win the championship, if you win the championship, you're done.
Yeah, you can't run
so
again.
Oscar Piastri won the championship in his first season in F2.
One F3.
One F3, so he had to move to F2, which is fine. It's doable. Wins F2 and gets shut out because he doesn't have the dosh to get a seat.
Yeah, right.
And there's only so many seats.
Yeah, that and every other seat was filled.
Right, which gets me back to why do we need more teams?
Right.
Because there's plenty of talent out there. Good thinking. Love that. Anyway.
But isn't there a rule in F2 where if you win the championship, you can't go back into F2?
Yes. Yeah.
So
he's done.
That's another thing. So what do you do after that? Go to IndyCar?
And that's exactly what's happening to Felipe Drugovich this year.
Yeah, Drugovich is he's doing reserve driver at Aston Martin.
Yeah, fine.
Great. But he'll sit in the simulator and drive, the iRacing car, but granted, it's far more advanced and stuff like that. But it doesn't beat real seat time.
No, you're not getting the repetitions in a real car.
So he should be Aston Martin should be saying, okay, well, when you're not non-conflicting race weekends, you're going to be in one of our Aston Martin GT cars somewhere,
or putting him in some kind of
IndyCar road. In all seriousness, some of these teams could start satellite teams over here just to put guys here, and it would be a welcome addition to the IndyCar paddock.
Oh yeah,
there would be no problem. But just some of the talents are just the folks just sitting down and not driving. I don't really see this benefiting Mick.
No, and it'll
no.
It would take something extreme for him to get it. And then, but on top of that, there's, we were talking about this with Schwartzman and Ferrari. There is no B team, either.
Right. Well, we can't have more teams.
No, exactly. But the obvious pick would be, okay, put Mick in a Williams. Well, seats filled, so
he would have been. I agree. See, I personally, that's where he would have been.
That probably would have been nothing against Sargent, but
no. Right.
Good spot for him.
No, right. I think Sargent was kind of driven via the American ownership of the team.
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
Alpha is moving towards Audi, so that relationship is no more. And then Haas is filled with experience right now.
Right,
so you
and they didn't want Mick. So, I mean, it's clear that I still...
Well, yeah, they let him go. So it's...
Yeah, see, that's my thing. It's like, well, what's the big difference? Like, I think the biggest factor this year was, I think, he wrecked a couple cars and really... He put a dent into the budget.
Yeah. And in the cost cap era, you can't
be doing that.
Be wrecking stuff.
You can't be doing that. I mean, George is on thin ice at Mercedes too. Mm-hmm. Because the two stunts, the two ones that he's had with the Mercedes when he was at Williams, put dents in their budget. The Bottas one, and there was another one.
Well, I mean, if that's proved anything, you can wreck the top team and still get a ride with them.
Right, so. but that has come out that he's.
I mean, I guess if you're going with that logic, sure.
But
you got 2 strikes, so worry.
Yeah, right. So, anyways,
I'm just gonna. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Anyways, so that so I guess good for Mick. I'd like to see him racing. I actually racing. I don't know what this is like. Go to Super Formula.
Actually, you know what seat that's being occupied that could be taken is a seat at Aston Martin.
You think it like with Fernando Alonso or like Lance Stroll when he eventually gives up the seat?
Yeah, exactly, Nate.
Daddy's cash. Yeah.
Every time.
I mean,
but
I honestly, he would have been fine Super Formula. Those cars are fast.
Speaking of Super Formula, they just came out with, is it the next generation of cars that they
just
announced?
Yes, they did. And there's a couple of guys from Europe that are going over there to race too.
Yeah.
So they're not going to get the big bucks they used to get to go over there.
No,
but those cars, that is a great series. If you ever get a chance,
I love Super Formula.
Yeah, you have to. Because it's Japan. It's on at weird hours, and it's late. It's late at night, early morning on YouTube. So you have to really kind of look for it. But it's fantastic racing, and in Japan, it always has unpredictable weather, so it's some crazy races. So and
it's good tracks too.
And the drivers, there's really no
great tracks.
There's not a lot of dumb driving either.
No,
because a lot of these teams, like, it's a very high profile. I mean, essentially, this is like IndyCar over there.
Yeah,
Right.
But the cars are very powerful, and it's great racing.
I would say a lot of your Japanese drivers that you see go and make it at F1, you're looking at that series as
Ryo Harakara, who's with Toyota now, came out of there. Kaz Nakajima.
Yes.
And what's his name? Who's Toyota? The big guy. Kamui came out of
Kobayashi.
that. Sorry. Having a bad
the
night
Le
today
Mans
with memories.
track record holder.
Yeah. Well, Kumi came out of there, so it's great racing. So you can find it.
Kumi can wear the. He's in his own category too, right? With the full shield down.
He's a full shield down.
Full visor.
He's
down,
not a half crack guy, or a 3/4 crack guy, or a crack guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll discuss more of that. We'll break that down at some future date. Anyway, so anything else news wise?
SRX.
Oh, SRX. Yeah, this is outside the Formula One skip. This has been
I'm breaking away from F1 for a second.
I know this has been blown around for a while, and we meant to talk about it, and we just didn't. But so SRX, which has been on Saturday nights during the summer on CBS, is moving to ESPN, and is moving to Thursday night for a recreation of Thursday Night Thunder, which I think is fantastic. Mm-hmm. And this actually fits the bill for what they're looking for type of programming on Thursday nights during the summer. It's 7 to 8 weeks.
Yep.
It's about a 2 to 3 hour time slot, I think, that these races
2 hours,
2 hours, something like that. It's definitely made for TV.
Yeah.
It's the Tony Stewart All-Star Series. Is the best way to describe it. They run same cars and stuff. They run. It's all short oval.
Yep.
Pavement and dirt, And it has been a great series the last 2 years, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. So really excited to see that move to ESPN.
Yeah.
So really, because it was on CBS Sports.
Yes.
Which isn't, it's probably not as known as, I mean, ESPN is probably a broader platform for them.
Yeah.
So both getting it on your cable and streaming it. So anyways. All right.
Jumping back to F1.
Can we?
now.
Well, it's not F1.
Well,
this
F1
is
and FIA.
FIA.
Yeah.
It's more FIA.
Yeah.
Because Formula One really is Liberty. And this was more from FIA. And I really had a hard time digesting this today. And there's two things. So should we talk about the more lighter one first, and then we can just move to the heavier topic? The lighter topic being every racing driver, when he joins a series, you on an annual basis you pay for you have to pay for a license. The fees of that license cover your go to certain things like insurance, things like that, whatever. It's more of an administrative type thing, but it shows you're in good standing and all that. So in Formula One, we have the vaunted super license. And I was sitting there going, oh, what's this? Like, I was thinking 10,000.
So this discussion is not about points for a super license. This is about the fee to pay for a super license.
Super license, yeah.
So every year they have to re-up, or if you're a rookie, you buy your super license.
Right. So if you qualify, you get your super license, right? There's obviously guys that have turned down the super license because they can't afford it. So,
Right.
So anyways. So I was reading this article today, and I was like, the title was Red Bull to cover Verstappen's license bill. I'm like, okay, fine. Didn't really, I was just like, I was going to blow by it. And then I said, go read it.
Like, sure, good for them.
Yeah, and I was exactly, Nate. I was like, oh, they won the championship. They have the money. They can pay it, It's like it's probably in his contract. Then I read what the fee is. And like I'm sitting there. At first I thought this thing was like, all right, $10,000? Okay, I don't know. Whatever. The super license fee for Max Verstappen for next season is 960,000 euros, which is roughly a little over $1 million.
Yeah. And then
just so he can have a license to drive in Formula One.
And then
Then
further in this article,
so it tiers down.
Yeah.
So it's based on points.
Where you finished in the
driver's standings plus your points and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Charles, who finished second, he's got a bargain. He's only 650,000 euros.
Yeah, only.
Then Lewis finished fourth or fifth?
Sixth.
Lewis is 500,000 euros.
Yeah.
So he's probably like psyched because he's, he didn't have to pay the high fee because he wasn't world champion, so he's probably fine. I just was amazed at the cost of this thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And what a scam it is.
Way overpriced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, so like they asked Helmut Marko about it. He goes, well, it's in Max's contract. We got to pay it. So I'm like, oh, all right. But I'm like, who's ripping who off here?
Yeah.
And it was like they went and got a quote from Vettel. And Vettel was like, I don't get it. That was basically it. It was just, I really just don't get it.
And just to kind of pinpoint the significance of this, it's that $1 million euros is being paid by Red Bull, so that's coming out of their salary cost,
out of their budget.
Yeah, in the budget. So,
well, it's in what it is. It's in his budget. So it's in Max's contract that Red Bull will pay it.
Yes.
So there has to be some kind of escalator in there so that they can, especially with this cost cap, whatever, but cost cap, whatever this is.
Yeah.
So I mean, how do you budget it?
Right.
So you have to budget it. You probably have to budget that. Every driver is probably budgeted, like anyone that's on a top team, you got to budget them to win it.
Yeah.
So so that you can if you're under it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So Checo didn't finish second, so he finished third. So whatever. It was a head scratcher.
Yeah. So
which led to an even bigger head scratcher today. Which when I saw the news blurb, I had to read it, and I had to read it like twice. And I was just like, at first I was like, oh, they're restricting guys from saying stuff. And I was like, what is this? Like, they don't want people bad mouthing BO,
Right. So the
Right.
the rule in NASCAR that exists is you can't basically badmouth the series or the decisions.
Right. So
made,
that's kind of
right?
where I thought this
Yeah.
was going. All right. And then
And the WEC just came out, the FIA too.
Whatever.
But they came out with a similar thing the other week about not bad mouthing the BOP.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It makes it kind of fun is when drivers or team owners go off on it. So like, you're gonna try and tell me that Tony Stewart, he all year he was hammering NASCAR. So I mean, Tony doesn't care. I mean, it's fine.
No, he doesn't.
All right. So I don't care. I mean, people can say stuff. I don't really care. So, however, I go back in and read the article or read the statement, and it reads: the general making and display of political, religious, and personal statements or comments, notably in violation of the general principle of neutrality promoted by the FIA under the statutes, unless previously approved in writing by the FIA for the international competitions or by the relevant ASN, that's your local, automotive sporting organization, for national competition within their jurisdiction. So what this comes down to is the FIA is basically shutting the drivers down from making any kind of statements about...
They can't be blindsided by a statement.
Right, but
if a driver wants to make something, they have to then get it approved by the FIA.
So in case in point is Sebastian rocking up with his famous T-shirts and stuff.
Right.
Which, fine, he has a platform. No problem with him doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Lewis has his platform, especially during the and continues to be the Black Lives Matters movement and equality and all that.
Yeah.
So all fine. They're the leaders in the sport. They should, do that. Drivers are making statements with their helmet designs. We've had several drivers with the rainbows on them. What gets me about this whole thing, and this is where I really started to get, this is really hypocritical of the FIA, is they're wanting to promote this equality across all aspects of Formula One and any of their, events that they're in charge of, from go-karting on up through the WEC and stuff like that, of getting more women involved, getting more inclusive, the LGBTQ community, getting them more involved, or where people will feel more accepted. And that you're turning around and throwing this out there saying, you're all welcome, but you can't say anything.
Yeah.
So when I start to think about this in context of why this is coming out, it really has to do with what just happened at the World Cup in Qatar.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Which is a very misogynistic society. They're not...
It is not like the U.S. They have their own culture for
Right.
religious reasons,
Right.
and that's how they do stuff.
And I get it. But then I'm like going, oh, well, who just signed with FIA to do more races? Qatar, Bahrain,
Yes.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia.
So, and then, what are we trying to placate to these guys?
I mean, it's
It really
heading that
is.
way.
Yeah,
It really is, because
really is.
Lewis even said it last season. He said cash is king.
yeah.
And
But
I think these are. I think this is just some
but back in the day,
organizations that want to hold these races.
back in the
and
day,
just are putting up higher.
Back in the day, you had Jackie Stewart taking the FIA and the organizers of Formula One the task for driver safety.
Yeah.
So basically, he can't even in this statement here. He probably could get away with it, but he'd get reprimanded.
Who?
Jackie Stewart, by saying something about driver safety and stuff. Because I'm not 100% certain. I don't know where the gray area is in this. Okay, they're basically saying that they don't want you saying anything.
I think driver safety doesn't fall under that. I think this is more on like the political
Personal
stance.
statements.
Well, personal statements is that like what do you think of something afterwards?
If Jackie Stewart's saying, I think that the safety of this track is really not up to snuff.
personal statement.
That's a personal statement. So, I mean, they're basically shutting these guys down, or they're shutting the teams down. So, like, in subtle ways, like McLaren was running little rainbows on their car, if you look at some of the design. So basically, somebody like Sebastian rocks up, puts the rainbow flag on his helmet, he's going to get hammered, if he wants to. Lewis would do the same thing. I mean, I'm like, I think this is probably living in America where we can say what we want. Within reason. I think today, I mean, it's even. But I still feel that we can.
Yeah.
And people can say, and we can all have different. I mean, within reason. I'm not going to go down the road.
You can't shout fire in a crowd of
right. Yeah.
There's obviously
but you can have a debate. Okay.
Correct.
But you can make a statement. Now, if somebody came over here and said something about it, I'm like, I really don't. Whatever.
Right.
You have your say. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it in NASCAR. It's. If a driver doesn't want to say anything, I don't think, honestly, don't look at Max. That's not Max's game. He's just not. That's not his character.
No. He has the same platform that Lewis has, but he doesn't want to participate. But that's his choice.
That's his choice. If Lewis feels that he should be spoken out, that's fine. That's Lewis's choice. I don't have a problem with it. Same thing with Sebastian. But for the FIA to tell me that they want to be more inclusive across the board, yet they're going to turn around, you can't be openly supportive of somebody
or openly criticize
because we're placating to 3 Middle Eastern countries that now want to come play in F1.
Right.
I think it's kind of stupid.
It is. Because it's just now F1, or I guess Liberty Media.
It's not Liberty Media. This is the FIA.
I mean, I'm sorry, FIA.
Yeah, because Nate, it's good. I'm glad you brought it up that way because there needs to be a distinction.
Right. The FIA, because aren't you hosting a race, not the season?
The FIA, F1 runs under the FIA, so the FIA is the organizer for whatever. This isn't Formula One. This isn't Liberty Media telling these guys to cool it. This is the FIA. And this is across all FIA platforms. So it goes down to, and that goes all the way down to karting with them. Rallying,
anything that's associated.
Anything that's associated. So I just am, I find it really embarrassing to say the least. And it's just, whatever.
Yeah.
Well. It's not. Look, my whole thing is, Lewis rocks up with a T-shirt, wants to have his say. He's more than welcome to have his say.
Yeah.
I live here in the United States, so my feeling is you can have your say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So as long as it's not offensive, let's be reasonable about it. But I don't think Lewis is up there, putting F-bombs and stuff, and stuff like that.
No.
But I don't know. I find this troubling, and I just, like I said, I find it a bit placating to these, new countries that have joined the series, and so. Anyone else got a take on this?
No, I completely agree.
Well, hopefully the FAA will rethink this and pressure.
I think it is. I think pressure's going to come, and it's going to run its course.
Pressure has to come.
They're going to
pressure has to come
from. Have to backtrack now.
Pressure has to come from the public and from the manufacturers.
Well, you're going to get it from the manufacturers. You're going to get it from the drivers and the fans.
Because
you are going to get it.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, look,
it's going to blow up in their face.
I'll say this. In my opinion, if you really stand for something, my belief is if you're going to protest anything, I would think you would have to be willing to give something up. So
I know where you're going with this.
So not that I understand you work your whole life up to be an F1 driver. I'm just going to use this example for what it is because I think it fits pretty well. During during the 2021 championship, where everything was going on, and Lewis was making his voice heard. The final races came down to a couple in the Middle East. So, if you are a driver who really feels a certain way about certain countries or whoever it is, my feeling is you either, one, you can go in there and be loud and proud of what you stand for and make as much noise as you possibly can.
In a constructive way.
Yes, in a constructive way. Or
you don't go.
You don't go. And right. To say that a 7-time world champion is not going to appear at a track and think of the fan base that he draws in to not show up because of other reasons going on.
I'm going to take it to that. I think that's a very good point.
I think that would just leave an impactful statement of saying, and if you really believe it, you're not going to stand and be with the series.
I will say this. I think this is definitely a shot across two people's bows. One is Vettel's, even though he's stepping out.
Yeah.
And the other is Lewis.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that the powers to be in these new partners of the Formula One world have been, you need to kind of quiet Lewis down. Or Sebastian down.
Yeah.
Well, I can see right now maybe Lewis says, I'm not showing up. I could see it.
Yeah. I mean,
and I thought he would come up with a statement today.
I think
with all that's gone
on.
Well,
Well, I'll say this: if you go into some of the comments sections on some of the articles of these, there's some idiots in there. Obviously, there's always idiots in the comments.
You mean
section.
You brush up on Team LH Twitter fans?
Hashtag whatever they are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That could be.
Yeah, that could. I was just talking. Like I was in the racer comments section, and there are just some idiots in there. I mean, and it's just great. It's like people going back and forth on one another, just spewing nothingness. But yeah, I could see Lewis maybe doing that. I think that's a good point, Christian.
So that's like if I truly felt strongly about something and I had enough of a platform to do it, that's probably what I would do.
And I think, if I'm getting shut down now, I think my next step with the platform is I'm not coming.
The small, I guess a smaller topic to look at is I guess that jewelry ban that Lewis had. That one is like iffy, but the only one that wears it is Lewis.
Yeah.
Really, right? So I mean, if he wants to wear it, I don't care. Okay. You can do whatever you want.
90% of these guys don't wear the right flame retardant underwear. Seriously,
outside of the top level categories, they're not.
Because Roman even said, like, fortunately he was wearing the right stuff.
Yes.
But some of these guys had to go back and rethink what they were wearing because they wear these like, really lightweight ones to keep. And it's not like because they just don't think the car is going to catch on fire.
No.
Until Roman's fireball, guys had to go back and get new stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just was like, are we like, what is this?
Yeah.
I just was like, this is just dumb.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
I'm gonna put like I think if I was dry, I just have a T-shirt that had every cause, just wear it. I don't, I just man, I don't know. I guess
like with a shirt with a list.
Yeah,
of everything.
Yeah. Or just like working when you're interviewed, working subtle, comments, but whatever. I get it. I don't get that. I get where guys come out and want to say stuff.
Yeah.
It's a platform, and look, Sebastian's got 3 kids, and that's his feelings. I mean, Lewis is, he's, he is in the minority. I mean, he's a non-white driver. You have Yuki and Joe and Albon, who are both from the Far East, from the Pac Rim. But Lewis is the predominantly African black driver.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I mean, I don't want to say he's the exception, but he is
Right.
he's out there.
He's yeah.
But as he's come older and gotten more, whatever, he's in a position where he should be able to say stuff.
Yeah.
Jackie Stewart did the same thing back in his day. I
Yeah.
mean, so some drivers do certain things and some don't.
Yeah.
So, but I just was like, I don't know. It just hits me wrong when they the FIA is, oh, we're all about this, and then it's like, yeah, but we don't want you saying it out loud.
Yeah.
Right. Except, like, it doesn't make any sense.
Except if you give me a handwritten note and let me approve it, then I'll let you say it.
Yeah.
That's censorship. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It is. Where's the freedom of speech? I don't see it.
So, anyways, kind of a little bit heavy topic to end the show on tonight, but I felt it needed to be discussed. And hopefully, I think this is going to be an undercurrent for the. I think there's some people in the F1 media too that are a bit taken back by this too, judging by some of the responses that I saw, and some that work within F1 productions. So.
Well, and this is really unprecedented. It really is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's really. I didn't think it'd get to this point. I never imagined or had an idea that it would be this far. But I think I really think it's just there's gonna be a point in the season where it just get even drivers, they might say enough's enough. Maybe a group protest. I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, it's opening up a can of worms of possibilities at this point.
Yeah, and
but I think manufacturers are going to backfire on this.
If there are drivers that protest this and want to sit out races, that's fine. And if there's drivers that, feel that, it doesn't fit their personal belief, which is fine. I have no problem. If you're going to run the race, that's fine. I'm not holding it against.
Oh yeah, no.
If somebody drives or someone does, whatever.
No.
Just be consistent with your message, okay?
Right.
Lewis is very outspoken. Max is probably understated about things and doesn't make, Max is more focused on racing. Doesn't make Max a bad guy.
No.
It's just that.
He's just focused on what it is.
That's what Max is focused on.
Yeah.
Max isn't, he's not wired that way. Lewis is a lot older. So,
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So, he can get away with, him and Vettel can get away with stuff. The wild card is going to be Fred.
yeah, he always.
Fred's like, all right, well, let's go. We poke the bear, which should be fun. Valtteri could
do something too.
Bottas could.
Yeah.
If Grosjean was in, Grosjean would
he'd
be
over it.
Yeah, he'd be all fired up on this too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not gonna. What a driver decides personally, I don't have a problem with.
No.
I just have a personal problem with this. So,
Yeah.
anyways, with that, brings us to the wrap up of the show.
Mm-hmm.
We're closing in on Christmas.
And the holidays.
Happy
Hanukkah. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yes.
Is that
Kwanzaa?
Is Kwanzaa this?
I don't know.
26th.
I don't know when it is. Or
Usually,
there you go, Nate. 26.
26th?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
begins on the
Oh,
26th.
okay.
All right.
Thanks, Nate.
No problem.
All right. I don't know. Next week are we? Next week it's the holiday week.
Okay, there might be an episode. There might not be. So
I don't know.
if not,
Who knows?
Who knows?
we'll see.
You never
We'll
know.
see either
Something-
next week or next year.
His words.
Something could drop. His words.
Something could drop.
Yeah.
His words, or somebody.
We might drop
Yeah.
something. We might not.
Who knows? I
Yeah.
don't know. We may gather. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Place your bets.
place your bets. Unless you're in Massachusetts, you can't bet yet.
Not yet. On the first.
Soon.
I'm in New Hampshire, so.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry. Anyways, so with that, yeah, happy holidays, everybody, and we may or may not see you. Talk to you next week, but
If it's not next week, it's next year.
next year.
Yeah.
But we will be back soon with episode 34.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And what's so nice of Sebastian Vettel? He offered his Feliz Navidad wishes to Sergio Perez earlier this season. Azerbaijan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was the first one to say even Merry Christmas. What a guy. Good night.
Thank you guys for listening to the Red Mist Podcast, hosted by Christian Abbott, Sean Abbott, and Nathan Lavin. It's produced by Christian Abbott, and music is by Alex Zwart and Harrison Tate.